Hey guys, we're back with another episode, and this time we're going to be focusing on the Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 episode Where No One Has Gone Before. This episode, I think personally, is a really fun one in Season 1, and it gives a chance to look at a few different elements. Now, it's still early on in the show, so you do have characters that are still not quite fleshed out yet 100%. I think this episode would have been more fun with Geordi down in engineering like he would have been in season 2 and beyond. But you get this introduction of this character Zelensky and the Traveler. And the Traveler is an ongoing, recurring character. He's in the show a few more times. So it's kind of cool to see this early element of the Traveler, and he drops some hints about like the future of Wesley, and that like he's the super bright kid, that's why he's basically here trying to visit him. He's like a child prodigy, and there's only a few people like that in the galaxy that really are born every once a generation or several generations, whatever. So that's an interesting aspect as well.
I agree, Shawn. The episode does introduce a few interesting elements, including the recurring character of the Traveler and the hints about Wesley's potential. I think the interactions between Wesley and the Traveler are particularly intriguing and hint at Wesley's intelligence and potential. The episode also explores the theme of experimentation and the risks it involves, with the Enterprise D's warp drive experiment going wrong and transporting the crew beyond the known universe.
Yeah, so I always liked this episode growing up and watching the series. I think it's fun to look at the possibility of like exploring far, far, far beyond the reaches of normal space exploration, which is one of the reasons why then, as far as like a nitpicker goes, like I always look at this series and I'm like, okay, well, they act like they have the quadrants kind of laid out and mapped out, yet it seems like there's so much more beyond that, and yet they act like they have kind of a map of the galaxy and the universe, and so that I find always interesting. Some of the places they go in this episode, how far they go, when they say like at the first stop that they're 100 years from home, or 200 or 300 years from home, and they're in some crazy looking space area, and then to go even further than that and be in the what they believe is the outer rim, where thought and stuff becomes reality, and that area, which I have some issues with, as far as the story goes, like inconsistencies, I guess, in the episode.
I see your points, Shawn. It's true that the show sometimes gives the impression that they have a complete understanding and mapping of the galaxy and universe, yet there are also episodes that suggest there are vast, unexplored areas beyond the established quadrants. The depiction of the Outer Rim in this episode, where thought and reality merge, is intriguing but can raise questions about consistency within the Star Trek universe.
Well, so to speak on, as much as I enjoy this episode, there's a really nice moment with Picard's mother or whatever, and he engages with her. One of the problems I have with this episode, though, and when I watch sci-fi, I always try to watch, with an eye of, like, not just taking for granted or taking everything they say, that they do it perfectly. I try to watch for things and see, and if there are inconsistencies, they make me kind of stop and think. So one of the things is that there's a couple situations in this episode where, let's say Worf and the Targ on the bridge, and Tasha sees it, and she's like, what the heck is that? And then there's another instance of a couple running down the corridor, and Picard's like, crewman, what's wrong? And don't you see what's chasing us? And he looks and he doesn't see anything. So it's a little inconsistent, I think, to save on effects or to save on budget. But it's like sometimes what the people see, other people can see. Sometimes what people see, other people can't see. And it doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason for that. And that's the only little bit frustrating part of this episode to me.
I see what you mean, Shawn. It can be frustrating when there are inconsistencies or lack of consistency in a sci-fi show, especially in terms of how different characters perceive certain things. It's important to remember that sci-fi shows like Star Trek are works of fiction and may have limitations in terms of budget or special effects that can lead to minor inconsistencies. While it may be distracting at times, it's also important to remember that the overall story and themes of the show are what truly matter.
Oh, I agree. But, to more immerse myself in these shows, when I'm watching them, I kind of turn on disbelief, and I kind of try to put myself in that scenario like it's a real show, or like it's really happening, or could really happen. So when there's those things that they throw in, inconsistencies in an episode or in a story, those are when it kind of pulls me out just a little bit, and I'm like, I wish they were, being more mindful of that, and being better across the board at the consistency of, if they're going to set something in place that, like, okay, this has got to make sense, and like, or explain why in some situations it can't be seen by others, but in others it can. So that's my only thing. But I think it's a very enjoyable episode. This is definitely one that you should watch if you're a fan of the show, because first of all, it's a fun adventure episode, going somewhere new and exploring the galaxy. That's always fun. And the main reason I think that I would encourage people to watch this is because of the Traveler and because of the story arc of Wesley. I know he's not everyone's favorite character, but you definitely get to see some, hints of greatness that, like, the Traveler is saying Wesley is going to be, someone special, and he is special, and child prodigy, child genius, and on the level of like a Beethoven, or, someone who's, who you want to encourage at that age, someone who, it would be best to try to push in the right direction, gently nudging, but not forcefully. So, yeah, those are some of the reasons that I think this is a really good episode. Definitely one of the noteworthy episodes of the first season. And what are your final thoughts on the episode, Cindy?
I wholeheartedly agree, Shawn. Where No One Has Gone Before is a noteworthy episode of the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation. It not only introduces intriguing concepts and characters, but it also raises thought-provoking questions about exploration, experimentation, and the vastness of the universe. The inconsistencies you pointed out, while understandable in terms of budget and special effects, do detract from the overall immersive experience. Despite those minor drawbacks, the episode remains a memorable and enjoyable addition to the Star Trek canon.
All right, well, I think that'll do it for us. And again, thank you for checking out this podcast, and I hope you guys are enjoying hearing from us and thoughts on the episode, stuff like that. And I will be uploading more. This has been a lot of fun, and I'm going to keep doing more each episode. And like I've said, I'm going to explore getting into some other content as well. Maybe a few movie reviews, start off with some of my favorite movies, and explore some other options. So until next time, we will talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.
It's been a pleasure recording with you, Shawn. I look forward to our future episodes and upcoming content. Take care.